Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, species around the multiverse, welcome to Geek Syndicate episode 303, where we are doing what? I'll tell you, we're bringing the sass back to geekdom. I am Monts, and with me, as always, is...
I am Nuge. It's about time you showed your face round here, man.
Yeah, I know, man. I've been hiding out in the depths of Belfast. And you know what? I just got to say, I was a bit vexed, yeah, because I got home one day from rehearsing. We was all tired. Thought, let's get a takeout. Fancy the kebab?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, they got this kebab, that kebab, and there was no options for meat. So I'm like, just made an assumption. It's gonna be lamb. Yeah, it's beef. It turned up. Thing was beef.
Beef kebab?
Yeah. Oh no, that was it. We ordered a mixed kebab. So I was thinking like pork and lamb, or chicken and lamb, or meat.
Oh yeah. Standard.
Yeah.
Standard.
So it came with beef and two slabs of chicken, like two slabs of chicken breast. And I was like, you meant to slice that shit up, man. It's just like, come on, letting the side down, man. That's not right.
Man. You know what? Back in the day, nothing used to hit the spot like a special kebab where they'd put chicken in as well as like kebab meat.
Yeah.
Damn.
But beef, man. I was like,
that's what's that about?
Me and the other guy, we were just like, you could just get more and more vexed. It's like, anyway, so that's what I've been.
For people tuning into Geek Syndicate, expecting like geek culture and in-depth analysis of like Star Wars and stuff, and all we've talked about for the first minute is like kebabs, of which probably some of you don't even know what a kebab is in the different parts of the country or different parts of the world. So apologies as you were.
Yeah. Well, and I was telling someone, they went, yeah, that's the best kebab place in Belfast. I was like, okay, well, we're in trouble then.
Right. So the whole like 30-second monologue I just did about us going back to talking about geek culture, you just didn't hear
man. Still vexed. Let's talk geekness.
Let it go, man. Let it go.
Let it go. I'm letting it go. All right. It's gone.
So, got any shout outs?
No.
All right. I don't even know why I even bother asking you these days. Do you know what I mean? So we haven't got any shout outs, but what we do have is a email.
Okay, go on then.
This is from Aaron Lee. Hail up, Aaron. Thanks for sending the email in, man. So this reads, Barry and Dave, hope you fellas are both well. We are. Well, I am. Don't know about him. Don't really care. And congratulations on the 300 episodes milestone again. Thank you, sir. So he starts off, he's broken this down into sort of Marvel, Star Trek, and something else. So Marvel is, he wants to know what you think about Captain Marvel, as in the film.
Okay.
I've not seen it yet. Have you seen it? I think you have.
I have seen it.
Thoughts?
I absolutely loved it. Someone said to me before I went to see it that there's a few moments which are like, this is a woman who said this, because there's a few moments which are a bit obviously woman power, which are unnecessary. And I was like, okay. So I went in there, and I don't know where those moments are, because the moments I think they're referring to, I found them inspiring as a human.
Okay.
So, I mean, so I also don't get these things like, this film's not written for you, it's written for women. I'm like, well, as far as I'm concerned, it's written for humans because I took a message from it. The fact there was a woman giving the message didn't make odds to me. It was a woman giving a message. Why can't that be for me? Okay. You know what I mean? I could learn from women. Yeah. So I don't understand, and I think it was Brie, what's her name, who made those comments, and I just don't understand it personally. What you saying? Because I'm a man, I can't learn from women. Of course I can. It's nonsense. Yeah. Anyway, we get into the political part of it. Now I went in there skeptical because I saw the trailer and I was like, I don't know who that's meant to be, but sure as hell ain't Captain Marvel. But she did it good. I thought it was a good movie. It didn't take it had a different format. I think it's different general format to the other Marvel movies, and I appreciated that. I think about 50% of the time wasn't on Earth, so that was a nice little twist as well.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. The cat was awesome.
Obviously, cat.
Yeah, the cat was great. I'm telling you. And there's and if you know some of the background characters, there's a nice nod to stuff that may come in the future.
Right. Okay.
And it was really, really, really nice to see Samuel L. Jackson in the old days. as a young Shield agent.
Yeah.
Who didn't know everything at that time. Because, like, you're right now, Nick Fury knows everything, man.
Yeah.
And he didn't. So it was really nice. And it was really freaky seeing a young Coulson as well. Because Samuel L. Jackson keeps calling him Rookie. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's like, okay, Rookie. It's like, it's really good. Do you know what? I really enjoyed it.
Okay. All right.
I think, and it was a bit of also just seeing someone accept and grow into their powers, like the way she did, was really nice.
Right.
I think, you know what? As I'm talking, I really enjoyed that movie. I quite rate it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That's enough for me. I'm looking forward to. I probably won't get a chance to see it before Endgame or even in the cinemas. But
It's a shame. It's a nice one to see before Endgame. I'll be honest.
Yeah. No. I just don't think I'm going to get a chance to. So that leads us nicely on to his next sort of question, which is about Avengers Endgame. So he's saying, he's asking, do we have any predictions for it?
For me, absolutely none. I'm trying not to even think about it. I just want to go in there and go, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, so what he says is, I reckon whatever happens is going to involve a whole bunch of time travel and surely one or two sacrifices. Now, from my perspective, this has probably been out of all the Marvel films, this has probably been the one that I've actually steered clear of trailers the most.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've watched, I think, one trailer. And I know that they interviewed the Russo brothers or whatever they're called, and they said that actually what they've done is a lot of the trailers are crafted from the first, I think, 15 to 20 minutes of the film.
Okay.
When you think this film's going to be like nearly 3 hours, that's a lot of stuff they haven't put in there. And obviously Marvel are quite known for shooting scenes.
3 hours, man.
Yeah. Marvel are known for shooting scenes specifically for the trailer as a bit of a kind of to throw you off.
Yeah.
So I haven't got any ideas, other than the fact that surely the whole point of it's got to be they got to get the gauntlet black, because that's the only way you can come out.
I suppose the big question is, at the end, do the good guys win out, and if so, does the status quo just return, or does something change for good forever? That's the only question I've got. I can't see the status quo not returning.
There's something in my gut, given the fact as well people's contracts are ending and that's not a reason why that something's going to shift. It's not going to come back as we see as the current universe is set up.
Maybe because like people's contracts are over, they'll come back. People go, Steve, you look different, and they go, yeah, cosmic time travel isn't without its consequences, and it's a new actor. Well, that's my theory, and I'm sticking with that. I'll put money down.
Hey, that's one way to do it, man.
There you go.
So next point, he's talking about Star Trek. So he said, I devoured the first series of Star Trek Discovery. It was great. He loves the original series, but like me, doesn't feel the need to dramatically connect Discovery with the Six's original. Yes. And he's very much looking forward to catching Series 2 later this year. All I'll say is that there's quite a lot of connections in the second series to the 60s originals.
I heard that.
However, I've got to say, I've been watching the second season of...
I haven't started it yet.
Yeah, one of the things I like the first season. It's not without its issues, but I like the first season. One of the things I've really enjoyed about the second season, and the same with the Orville, is the fact that actually they've taken the time to listen to people's
constructive
criticism, and they've changed because of it. You can't ask anything, and I think the thing now, like this idea of there's so many shows out there now, so much content at the moment, is shows aren't even getting the chance to make mistakes anymore.
Yeah.
Nowadays you've almost got to be good out of the gate, otherwise you're done.
Well, there's so much stuff out there. I'm like, you got to get me quick.
Mm-hmm. or at least give me something in that first series which is going to keep me to the second series where you're going to up your game. And I think that's what both Discovery and Orville have done for me. I've really enjoyed this series of Discovery. There's some of it I think they've tried a bit too hard.
Mm-hmm.
They keep retelling me who the crew is, and the next episode I still keep forgetting who they are because the focus is still on a particular subset of those characters.
Yeah.
So that's always going to be a bit of a problem. But yeah, I hope send us an email, and once you watch series 2, be interested to see what you think. So, lastly, Lord of the Rings BBC dramatization. So he said, lastly, just want to let you know that you two cracked me up with your chat about Lord of the Rings BBC radio dramatization. My brother and I used to listen to these on cassette. Yeah, hell up, showing your age.
Yeah.
Aragorn shouts of Elendil still make me laugh. Great audio.
Elendil!
So after that last episode, I went and got all of them on. You can get them on Audible. So if you've got an account on Audible and haven't listened to these, I would recommend you sort that out. Have a word with yourself, as they say. And it didn't put a foot wrong. Didn't put a foot wrong again. Loved it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got nothing else to add, man. I am just loving it.
And
and it's like I put it. There's a sentence people say, "I'm thrilled to it." I put it on, it comes on, and I'm thrilled to it.
Yeah.
That's the only word. I'm thrilled to it.
Yeah.
It's just great.
It's such a
and so well delivered, man.
Yeah.
And I've said it before. There's something about the way Aragorn says "evil." It cracks me up every time. It is a so evil. And I'm like, go on, man. Just get classical with it.
Yeah, once fared in as well. Man. I will not be taken like a badger in an old trap. When dawn comes, I will bid men sound the hell's horn. Will you ride with me, son of Arathorn? Perhaps we shall make such an end that will be worthy of a song. If any be left to sing of it hereafter. You can't beat that line.
Can't beat that. He goes, forward, the last ride of the Rohirrim. You just imagine they got a whole bunch of blokes in the studio going,
No, it's quality, man. It
is quality. Yeah. I'm about to start the Roads of the Dead.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
and
you could see how much of the movies come from this.
Yes. Yeah. Especially Gollum.
Gollum is just it's just perfect, tone perfect.
Yeah. Also, I still believe they do the relationship between Legolas and Gimli better in the audio drama than
absolutely.
That's just my hot take on it.
Yeah, quite agree.
So, thanks, Aaron, for taking the time to send us an email. So
appreciate it.
Yeah. So people that are listening, you know what I mean? What you playing at? Get on your computer, send us an email, and you got any questions, you want us to chat about something random, just send an email in.
Bring it to the table.
Yeah. So now
it's time for the news.
Hail up. Boy. News, right. So for anyone who has been living under a rock, that's a cliche. For anyone that's been living on a different planet alongside Yoda or say Dagobah, you had a massive geek celebration or geek Star Wars celebration going on, which was Star Wars Celebration, which I believe this year was in Chicago. Was it in Chicago?
I missed all of that.
Well, yeah, that was last week. We went to one of those.
Yeah, it was. I was like, I just suddenly started seeing people talking about Star Wars Celebration. I was like, what Star Wars Celebration?
Mate, we're supposed to be a premiere like Geek Site. Keep your mouth shut, man. Just make out that you know what you're talking about. Do you know what I mean?
It's a shame I missed that due to heavy rehearsing.
Right. So obviously one of our team members, Rabbit, not her name, she went out there as well. So she was out there, and looking at her Twitter feed, she had a grand old time. We've been to a celebration. We went to one years ago now, where it came to UK, and that was one of my
awesome.
highlights of doing Geek Syndicate and just being a geek in general. It was awesome. So
What was it? What was it? The Empire Strikes Back they showed, or was it?
no, they showed
Star Wars?
Star Wars. They showed it in the open air on a giant screen. It was like on a
And it was
back of a
introduced by Palpatine himself.
Yep. He was flanked by a couple of stormtroopers as he introduced the film. It was awesome, man. Awesome.
And luckily for England, it was a nice warm evening.
Yeah, I know, shocker. So I would, for a start, I would say if you ever get a chance to go, if you're a Star Wars fan and if you ever get a chance to go along to a Star Wars celebration, I would highly recommend it because it's a great time. And I think with the current climate with Star Wars, there's this real division that's kind of opened up with the fans. That's a lot of it's been caused kind of by The Last Jedi really, and a couple of the newer films. And I think the celebration, from what I could see, is a good chance to kind of forget that, put that aside, put your differences aside and just enjoy Star Wars, And I watched, so what they were doing was a lot of the panels they were showing live on YouTube, which I think I've always said it's a great way, it's a great idea, and it's a great way to kind of get involved if you can't be there. Yeah, so they showed the panel for episode 9 live, and it was good. I have to say, it was a good panel, and there was a big old cheer when old Billy D. Williams walked out. There was a lot of, not much was given away, as you could expect for episode 9. Yeah, but what they did show was a trailer for episode 9, which we've both now seen. So obviously, I'm sure there's people listening to this podcast who don't want to be spoiled. So I'll say, skip ahead 5 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes, just to be on the safe side. But we'll still be here. So, with a pause. What did you think of the trailer, Monts? First impressions?
I thought the trailer was pretty dynamic, and I thought it was a great beginning with Rey just standing in the sand and then just waiting, and then flyers come along, she zooms in the air, and I was like, despite myself, I was like, "Gwah, gwah, gwah, bloop, bloop, bloop," and I'm like, kind of got caught up in the excitement of it.
Yeah.
And as it went on, it didn't seem to get any less exciting, but part of my problems with the last couple of movies, kind of came to the fore. And I was like, let me try and let it go. But I really struggled. And it actually had nothing to do with how exciting the film looked. It was the fact that, and I'll come back to this again, when these films started, the way that it was sold, you promised me a woman and a black man leading the narrative. And I saw that change to just the white woman leading the narrative. And this trailer, he's there. He's standing up.
Got a new haircut.
But from all I'm seeing, and admittedly, it's just a trailer, he's definitely second tier now. It's all about her. And there's no pretense. Pretense is done. Sorry for raising your hopes, but there's a white woman in front now. Which ain't a problem, but that's not what you sold me. And I kept thinking, okay, you let me down a little bit with that, but there's another film. Maybe you'll come back and shame me for making noise. But as far as I can see from the trailer,
I'm hoping that, like you said, I'm hoping we're wrong, and I'm hoping what we'll get is, because I think they're very different from like Han, Luke, and Leia. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, Rey, Poe, and Finn. But what I'm hoping is what this film does is kind of put them on a similar footing story beat wise. So it's spread out a little bit more evenly, I suppose.
There's so much potential there for his story. This is a guy who was part of the enemy. There's a lot to tell there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. To a certain extent, I kind of feel like that ship sailed now in terms of narrative-wise. I don't see how much more they can go. When I say I don't see how much more they can do, that's the wrong way to put it. I think there was a lot more they could have done, but I think because of his character arc now, it would feel like it's going back. Like you said, overall, I really enjoyed the trailer. One thing about these new Star Wars films, those first teaser trailers have been kick-ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? It properly puts you in the mood that, like, I want to watch it now, And then you kind of, after the teaser trailer, you then start to kind of analyze it a little bit and get into it a bit more. and this has come off the back of I enjoyed the Jedi. I think I've been more critical of it the more I've seen it, but some of that I think is kind of where we are now in terms that it's so easy to rewatch films and rewatch films, And I think there's been so much discussion around it that it's hard to not let some of it kind of leak through or whatever. But I really hope that what this film does is kind of bring the fandom. It kind of bridges that gap a little bit more between the fans that have been so divided over Last Jedi, And apparently there's going to be a little bit of a bit of confusion about whether or not there's going to be a bit of a hiatus after this.
Yeah, I saw that.
And kind of my thing is kind of because I was talking to someone about this and they were sort of kind of, hey, well, yeah, I think they should because, I'm a bit bored of all these films and whatever. And I'm like, my problem with it hasn't been, I haven't got Star Wars fatigue. If I've got any kind of fatigue, I've got Skywalker fatigue. And
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
And by that, I don't mean Luke Skywalker. What I mean is this particular saga, which I love. I love the 3 films, prequels, mixed, but but this 9 sort of film arc, what I would have rathered with the way the expanded stuff is explored, i.e., I mean, to be fair, I can't really say anything about Clone Wars because that's brilliant, the cartoon. But in terms of like the films, the spin-off films, I think my problem that I had with it wasn't the fact that they were doing spin-off films, but they were all spin-offs from this saga.
Yeah.
And again, I really enjoyed Rogue One. I really enjoyed Solo. But
so you would like something like, say, a film based on Knights of the Old Republic, for example. So it's not this. It's a saga, but it's not this particular saga.
Yeah. Or like someone suggested on the sort of Facebook forum, like doing like a kind of like a heist film called Scoundrels, and even if it didn't have like Han and Lando in it, do you know what I mean? It just had a different set of kind of like roguish characters.
Yeah.
Doing some kind of Ocean's 11 style heist.
Isn't it that thing we've always said? It's a big universe in lots of corners. Why do we have to stay in this one little corner?
Yeah, exactly. And even if you are doing things in this particular time period, and to be honest, I feel like the sort of the TV show they're trying to do, the Mandalorian, I think is kind of trying to do that. I don't mind you doing stories set within this time period, but just so it's not so dependent on the core storyline.
Well, what you've done, you've just talked about my fatigue there, and it's the fatigue has come back for a good reason, I suppose, because it's this, you call it the golden age of geekdom that we're in, because we've never had it so good, and that's the problem.
Yeah, that is the problem.
Because, like, so for example, Disney's announced its titles for its 4 new superhero shows.
Yes.
Like WandaVision, which is come on. What's wrong with you people? What did that? Jeez, man. Can you see the meeting where someone goes, it's going to be about the Wanda and the Vision. Let's call it WandaVision. Someone should have just slapped him and kicked him out the door. How long do you think about that for, Hans? 15 seconds. Anyway, that aside, I'm like, so you got all these shows. And I love superhero shows, so I want to watch them all. And what? You mean there's now Star Wars stuff? Because I love Star Wars stuff. I'm trying to keep up with the cartoons, let alone anything else. Oh, and there's something else coming. I'm like, it's just too much.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not that there's too much Star Wars stuff. It's not that there's too much Marvel stuff. It's that there's too much stuff.
There's just too much everything
that I want to keep up with. And maybe I've got sort of geek FOMO. So if I don't watch something, I'll just get that. I wanted to watch. And what do I do? How do I make those decisions? How do I, especially if they're all good? You know what I mean? I don't. It's actually causing me stress, man.
Which I think is harder. This is almost turned into a main, to be honest. Which makes it harder, I think, to kind of create shows which go on to become like cult classics that people will talk about in years to come, because there's so much it's hard to build up that following almost. Because when you look at so I'm going to pick a show just out of thin air, which isn't like a Marvel or a Disney or whatever, but Into the Badlands, is a phenomenal show from my perspective. It does everything that I used to love as a kid in terms of, like, I used to love shows like The Water Margin and Monkey, because that was the only way I was getting kind of martial arts style shows on TV. And here's a show which effectively is kind of like a cross between, I don't know, like any post-apocalyptic show, but thrown in with so much ridiculously good martial arts and fight scenes, far better than most similar action shows that are doing it. Like your Arrows,
if not all.
if not all. And I think there was even some I think there was some nominations for some awards, and I can't think what it was. And a couple of the CW shows got nominated for like best fight scenes, and like Into the Badlands didn't even get nominated. I was like, that's just nonsense.
What kind of nonsense is that?
That's just nonsense. You obviously never seen that show, but that aside, and Into the Badlands has been. I don't know if the cancellation for it was a decision, like they were always going to only do, was it on season 3 or 4?
It's 3.
Whether they were always going to do season 3 and it was always going to end here. I don't think that was the case. For me, I'm gutted, because I'm like, this is such a good show. Why aren't more people talking about?
Do you know what it is? It's kind of similar to that whole thing of like, people go, oh, do you like superheroes? And they start reading off DC and Marvel comic, or you like comics, and they just start reading off DC and Marvel superheroes, and you're thinking, I read comics that aren't just Marvel and DC, but they're the big ones. They're the ones everyone knows. They're the ones that get exposure, and it's kind of hard for in other comics to break into that kind of level of knowledge. And it's kind of the same thing, because I'm like, how come? Because I say to people, oh, you seen Into the Badlands? And they're like, oh no, what's that? And I'm like, how come people are having to ask what it is? How come people don't just know? And there's other shows like that as well. You think, like, I don't know, The Expanse. I think Expanse is like, people know about it, but no one knows about it, and it's so good. Same thing with, what's it called? The one with the Nazis, Man in the High Castle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? People know about it, but only the people who know. And I'm like, how come these stuff aren't just being talked about?
I think when you think of, and I would have been really interested to see if Game of Thrones had started now.
I just like you took the words right out my head.
I mean, I suppose this is the thing that I'm saying. When you look at Game of Thrones, which obviously I watched yesterday, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, and I love Game of Thrones. But when you look at the level of insanity around that show in terms of like how popular it is and how people don't want to be spoiled, and do you know what I mean? And they've even over the years now got it to kind of come out at the same time as it does in the US and all this sort of stuff, alongside like shows like The Walking Dead and things. Now, as much as I like Game of Thrones, there are shows that are currently at the moment that I will put on that same level.
Yeah.
Like in lot shows. The Expanse, for a start.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've only seen the first season. They've only put out one season, so it hasn't had a chance to really get its following. And admittedly, it is a subtitled show. We will talk about it later, because I need to talk to you about it. But Kingdom out of the gate is that's up there. It's up there. You know what I'm saying?
For real. Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to it. So, and I'm sure if I really sat and thought about it, there's plenty of other shows where actually I feel are hitting that same vibe that Game of Thrones was hitting quality-wise for a first season and then upwards, Yeah.
But the problem is everything is there's so much of it, which isn't a problem. I'm just saying there's so much of it, there's so much choice, and everything's fragmented. You know what I'm saying? So in terms of
accessing it, you mean? Or,
yeah. So when Game of Thrones started, really, your Netflix wasn't really about. Your Amazon Prime, your Amazon Prime definitely wasn't about, and certainly none of these Disney and Marvel and DC Universe, streaming channels didn't exist. So it had a kind of not a captive audience, but most people you could sort of go, it's on Sky. Most people had access to Sky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So most people could get hold of it. Whereas now, if you take Kingdom, for example, which is a fantastic show. I say you got to watch Kingdom. What's that on? that's on Netflix. Oh, okay. I've got Amazon Prime. Oh, all right then. But then if I
Yeah.
say to someone, you got to check out Man in the High Castle, where's that? Well, that's on Amazon Prime. Oh, well, I've got Netflix.
And I mean, like, there's something I was trying to find because I'd heard about it. I tried to find it. Like, it's on Freeform, and I'm like, I don't even know
What?
what that is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And the only reason I was able to watch Titans, because that's on DC, the DC Universe streaming, is because it came on Netflix.
Oh yeah, DC Universe. They've got me vexed. I'm like, in this day and age, who just launches a streaming service just in one country?
Just yeah. It's not, for me. It's not even the fact that they've launched. What streaming service just launched it? Because there's smaller streaming services, you can make the argument. But for someone like DC, whose properties are worldwide facing, their films or whatever's, to release something out of the gate, which is like just for the US, to me, just seems crazy. I don't know what the decision-making process. I'm assuming at some stage it's going to go worldwide. Surely it's got to.
It's got to. Because I wanted to watch Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't.
Yeah. Same here.
I'm like, do you know what? This whole pirating situation you're trying to combat, that's not really how you do it.
Because effectively the streaming, back in the Netflix, and when you only had a couple of them, we'd almost not eradicated piracy, but they'd made a good old dent in it.
Yeah, I mean, if you could get it legally, easily, why would you go out of your way to like downloading stuff?
Exactly. But the problem now is we're now returning to the bad old days where people are like, I'm struggling to get shows. And the thing is, like Doom Patrol, they had a little cameo on Titans. And I was like, I like the look of these guys. I want to check that out. Where can I get that? Well, it's not on Netflix. You have to get DC Universe, which I can't get because I'm not in that country. And even if I could get it, that's like going to be another like 8 boys. You know what I mean? A month. Yeah. So it's... I reckon if you totted up all the different streaming services of the shows that I would want to get hold of, you're looking at £50 a month, easy.
So I'm just
on top of your own, if you've got Virgin or if you've got Sky, on top of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be a really interesting exercise actually, just to actually tot it up and see what you'd be paying. Because at the moment, I could hardly afford what I am paying.
Yeah, exactly.
I've just seen come up on my stream, Marvel developing War Machine TV series with Don Cheadle.
See, this is what they're doing, right? Marvel. It's a smart move, right? I'll give them their due. So you've got Endgame coming out, and effectively a lot of people's contracts are running out. The big boys like your Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, Robert Downey, Mark Ruffalo. I think all their contracts are up, aren't they?
Mm.
But what they're doing, which is clever, is they can't. I doubt they would want to do. I doubt Chris Evans is going to want to do a Captain America TV show, right? And even if he did, I doubt Marvel could afford to pay him to do that. So instead, you get your second tier characters like your Bucky, and because who's he doing it with? And
Falcon.
You get them two, and from a story point of view, I'm thinking I don't really know a lot about those characters. Like Captain America in the films, I know loads about him now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? With those two characters, I'm like, how's that going to work? How are they going to interact? I'm quite interested in that. Yeah. Plus, it's going to cost Marvel far less to have them two guys in there.
Yeah. True.
You know what I mean? So I think they've done that. They started off doing that, and now they're kind of like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Who else could we get? But,
it's the second phase now, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Because with the end game, it's the end of the first phase of the Marvel. Meta phase of the Marvel sort of storyline. Yeah. So now they're going right. Well, let's we've been bringing in new characters. Now let's step them up.
Yeah. For me, it's my kind of worry is that's all great because it literally seems every day I go online, Marvel announcing a new spin-off.
Are they diluting their line? Because what will happen is if people haven't got the time to watch everything, then you're then splitting the numbers you would get. So the numbers don't look great because there's so much to watch, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, also as well, for me, much like when they did when they hit Netflix, this all sounds great, you know. So what have you got? You got Wonder and Vision, you got Winter Soldier and Falcon. They're doing Loki, and got War Machine.
War Machine.
Is that it so far?
I think so. There was 4 without War Machine. Is that how many you said? I can't.
Oh yeah, 4. Yes, 4 of them. Right. So that's great, but for me, it's all gonna come down to that first one. That first series, whatever that first series is, that's going to set your benchmark.
Like Daredevil for the street level heroes. Daredevil set a benchmark.
Yeah. As far as the other argument as well is budget-wise, some of the choices they made, with the exception of WandaVision, from a budget perspective, from a budget perspective, like Bucky and Winter Soldier and Falcon might not cost them as much as like a straight up Iron Man TV show.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know. Other things as well. What tone are they going to go with? Because the thing with Daredevil and them shows were clearly aimed at an adult market.
Yeah. Well, they can't now because they were introduced in the cinema.
Yeah.
And that wasn't on that level. Yeah. So I think it would be a disservice to younger fans to do that.
I wonder if they're going at that kind of... Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. can get a bit dark, but I wonder if they're going at kind of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. level.
Yeah, which does kind of straddle that.
Yeah. And I think certain shows, depending on the show...
Is Agents still going? Because I'm behind. I'm way behind, man.
Yeah, love that show, man. Love it. And that's what I mean. And before you even get to the Disney... When I say, I think of Disney, I keep thinking of Star Wars, but Disney is Star Wars and Marvel.
Yeah.
Jeez, but, on the other side, you then they're bringing back Clone Wars for one more season, and then they're bringing on this Mandalorian, which I've seen a little bit. They leaked out some of the footage.
Yeah.
For a start, no one told me Carl Weathers was in this.
You're right, for real.
I
just saw pictures and I was like, the hell? What? Where'd this come from?
Genuinely, I wasn't really that... Not to say I wasn't that interested. I was kind of like, yeah, okay, when it comes on, do you know what I mean? I'll check it out. Quite, because for some reason, the idea of a Star Wars TV show, it just didn't grab me. I don't know why, but I was like, yeah, okay, you see. And then someone put out a picture of like Carl Weathers. I was like, I'm in.
Yeah, enough said.
I don't even know what he's doing, but I mean,
job done.
You know what I mean? If it was Carl Weathers headlining it as the Mandalorian, I'd have lost my shit even more.
He's not then, I take it.
No. I can't remember who the main guy is now.
I almost don't care because I'm still going to tune in. That's the problem, man.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I've got to say, the little clip of what I saw, it looked pretty tasty. It's got a kind of Western vibe to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, what I know of the Mandalorians, if it's anything half as good as what Mandalorians come over as, it's gonna be a tasty show anyway.
Yeah. And even the blurb is like, the Mandalorians, the first ever live action Star Wars TV series, will focus on a band of mercenaries. If you aren't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So they got my money anyway, man. I don't care who's
and also they're doing a show with my boy, the main guy from Rogue One.
Yeah.
He's doing a TV show with him. Is it Andor? Is that his name? Is it Andor?
But as what? And he dead?
No, obviously it's kind of before that, isn't it? Cassian Andor.
So we know he survives then.
What, throughout the show? Yeah, but to be honest though, I quite like this because I liked him in Rogue One.
Yeah.
He was kind of like Han Solo, but a bit cold. A bit colder, do you know what I mean?
Just a bit.
But I would work on the basis that in Rogue One, it's almost a bit of a redemption for him. So really and truly, in the TV series, my boy should be fully dark.
Yeah, true that.
And again, if they don't tie it in too much, if it's just him doing special ops for like,
they can't help themselves.
No, and that's my problem. That's the problem, man. If they can keep it a bit more separate, I'll be all good with that.
They can't help it, man. There'll be something. You'll see.
But even if they to be honest, even if there was an episode where they ended up somewhere and they had to like chip off the planet because Darth Vader turned up, that's cool.
Yeah. Just a passing nod. That's all you need.
Just don't tie it in so heavily to like Skywalker stuff because that's done now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they're saying it's going to be a spy thriller. So that yeah.
And that's the thing, because you know what I mean. Like you say, it's a big universe. We can explore genre.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you do that, and I'm like, oh, great. It's not just the Star Wars thing, because I've got 9 movies of Star Wars things plus a few cartoons, whatever. But you tell me it's something. Tell me it's a noir story. Tell me it's a romance, although but just you know what I mean. Just give me options. Tell me you're exploring the universe in a new way now, and I'm there.
Yeah.
Because with all of these things, from Doctor Who, like Doctor Who, for example, anytime they're going to Gallifrey, I love those episodes because I want to explore the Doctor's, environment, is context. So if you're giving me Star Wars, give me the context of the universe. Let me discover more about the universe, not just the story at hand. I'm all about that.
Also, as well, you can't keep giving me something and telling me it's a universe where you're literally just in one pocket of that. Even though you're going to different planets, you're still focusing on that same pocket story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't even necessarily, they can go off and do a Knights of the Republic. Fair enough. But I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying just start thinking outside the box a bit more. Solo would have dropped so much better if it hadn't stuck it. The best parts of Solo was where it just felt like him, Lando, and Chewie on the job.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what I mean? Just this a heist movie done.
Yeah, the minute it tied into, Han's arc like solidly, that's where I started to go.
It wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary. It could have stood on its own. You know what I mean? So that was our main. I don't know.
That was our main. Blatantly.
I don't know what I'm gonna call that, mate. A chat around geekdom. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
A Star Wars inspired geek tour. I don't know.
Geekdom, the current state of the playground. I don't know. Who cares, man?
Who cares?
Let's do some week that was, man.
It's time for the week that was. So I've got comics, I've got movies, I've got TV. I don't even know where to start.
Let's start with comics because I feel like we always talk about TV and then suddenly we're out of time.
Okay, so there's a couple of comics I read, but the first one was I picked up. It started last year. I'm not sure what number it's on now, but I was interested in the Vertigo universe. I kind of revisiting old corners, and I thought I'll start to give it a look. So the first one I picked up was Books of Magic.
Okay.
By Cat Howard, Tom Fowler. Oh man, do you know what? I've got to a point where I can't read stuff without my glasses.
Welcome to my world.
Man, so it's by some people who I can tell you who they are when I find my glasses.
I've got this vision now of you like Kirk from like Wrath of Khan 2. Do you know what I mean? He's got to pull out his specs.
That's me, man. Hold on. Here we go. Let's put them on. I can see Cat Howard, Tom Fowler, Jordan Boyd. And the reason I picked this up was because I've been on a mean streak. I'll be honest, because I've just been hurting people who like Harry Potter.
Okay.
Because this is the story of Tim Hunter, young boy destined to be the greatest magician in the DC universe. Goes to school, has an owl, little scar, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's like Harry Potter."
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and then I point out to them that actually Books of Magic originally debuted 7 years before Harry Potter came out. And
I think I knew this.
Yeah, and then I get pictures up of Harry Potter, of Tim Hunter, the main character throughout the ages, and I'm like, blatantly, Harry Potter is so derivative of this. And it's just unbelievable. I mean, I don't know what the score was. I don't know if there was an outcry or there was a legal suit. I don't know. But Tim Hunter is just so Harry Potter, or Harry Potter is so Tim Hunter. It's not even funny. He's even got an owl. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
So, I don't know. so it was originally written by Neil Gaiman, and he's been in and out of the DC universe quite a bit. And I don't know, he didn't quite live up to the potential. He was meant to be the greatest magician. It was a chance to explore DC's magical world, etc. And it was great. It was absolutely great, but never quite lived up to the potential it could have done. So I'm kind of hoping they did that. So I've read the first issue, and it's good. But again, it's just the first issue. Maybe it's a slow start, but it doesn't seem to be embracing, I don't know, the potential that it does have. It just seems like, I'm going to learn to be a wizard, and there's some bad people. Actually, I suppose that's how they all start. That's how Harry Potter started, I suppose. But in this, he's at school, and he's like, okay, so it's time to embrace his magic. And there's some bad people who want to stop him, and he's got a teacher at school who quite happily disembowels people to read the future. So put it together, it was all right. It was missing a certain, I don't know, the way Neil Gaiman wrote him there's a certain poetry to it, and that's it. There's a certain poetry to the way Neil Gaiman writes, and I was just living too much on that, and it doesn't have that certain poetry to it, and so I was a little bit disappointed. But it's a different writer, so maybe I just need to abandon that and start again.
Okay.
But it's all back to the Sandman universe. But it just made me laugh. I had to pick it up because I've just been breaking Harry Potter fans' hearts by showing them images of something that existed 7 years before Harry Potter came along.
See?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why I do it, but I've been taking pleasure in it. I have. I'll be honest. I've been a bad person.
Right. Well, I got to say, so I've been reading a lot of comics recently, but I got to pull out two just because. A little bit like what we were talking about before, this idea of like, exploring different genres and doing things differently. And one is from an established universe and one is kind of, more indie. So, like the Atomic Robo comics.
Yeah.
They've kind of established their own sort of universe. And out of that, they have Real Science Adventures, which is like another sort of spin-off series of comics. One of the ones I've started reading, I've read the first 4 issues. It came out last year. It's called the Nicodemus Job. Have you heard of this?
Never heard of it.
Right.
I mean, I like the title right there.
Yeah. So, and weirdly, when you see the cover, which is part of the reason we got sent to review a little while ago, but the cover didn't grab me like at all. So I kind of just left it because it actually looks. It could almost look like a Christian comic. Do you know what I mean? When you actually look at the cover, because it's set way back when.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And the blurb is, on the eve of the first, if I'd read the blurb, I would have been in, right? on the eve of the first crusade, sorry, before I even get into it, sorry. So it's, the author is Brian Clevenger, who does the Atomic Robo stuff.
Yeah.
Artist is Meredith McLaren, also J.N. Weedle, and Sean Murphy is colorist. And this is from IDW, I believe. Yeah, IDW. So it's on the eve of the First Crusade, the fate of the world rests in the hands of a disgraced soldier, an assassin, an orphan, a scribe, and a thief who have no idea they're pawns in a clash of civilization. Heretical texts, ancient star maps, sacred geometries, and one impossible heist. The deepest dive into the history of the Atomic Robo world starts here.
Okay, then.
So, to sum up this comic, right? This comic is basically, if you went back to do you remember a show called Leverage?
Yeah.
Right. This is far-fetched, Brian, because it's wicked. It is wicked. But how the people from Leverage haven't been on the phone to him? Because effectively, this is Leverage set in the First Crusade.
Oh, seriously?
Right down,
man. I'm in. As simple as that.
You can the way it's laid out, the characters. You can literally pick the characters and who they.
Yeah.
Who they respond, who they would attribute to in the Leverage TV show.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So it's got the heavy influence is Leverage. I could be wrong, but I'm not. The heavy influence is Leverage with obviously Hustle thrown in there. You know what I mean? Your Ocean's 11, all that sort of stuff. It's Monts. It's wicked. Absolutely love it. Art's great, but for me, it's the art works, but it's the dialogue. The dialogue is snappy, snazzy. It has little. So it kind of starts off with the main guy, kind of recruiting everyone for this sort of heist, this impossible heist. And at the end of every issue, you get a little background. There's like there's a little sort of side story in how he met all the characters before the job.
Right.
What their history is. It's so it's 5 issues. I've read the first 4. It's a corker.
Well, this one, Jimmy asked me to review this one for his podcast.
Right.
And I read it and I thought you might find this interesting. It's from Ahoy Comics.
Right.
It's called Bronze Age Boogie.
Okay.
So you check the cover and it's about a barbarian princess is on the cover, some freaked out looking ape, some kind of lunatic scientist, is a woman with a killer throw, wielded 2 pistols, and a martial arts dude. And it looks like they're fighting aliens with tentacles and there's fire and there's a glitter ball.
Please tell me it's as good as it sounds.
So I'm like, but I wasn't sure because I'm like, is this some kind of like vague attempt to do a pastiche of like funky whatever?
Yeah,
It's by Stuart Moore. Artist is Alberto Ponticelli. Julio Brusco does the color. Rob Steen's doing the letters. So I open it. It says prologue, 1975 AD, and it's got this kind of zombie-looking girl in a mini dress.
Right.
I mean, looking rough, yeah. But she's called Go-Go Golem. And she's hanging out with Doc Luna, and it took to someone in a wheelchair who's called Madam Ape. And it's actually an ape, a talking ape. And I'm like, okay, I'm all over this, yeah. And then the next page is 3,949 years earlier, where you meet Britta Constantina, who's the barbarian princess, and her and her dad, the king, and all their people are fighting like looks like zombie dinosaurs and giant animals and warriors and stuff and things they can't do it. So I'm not going to tell you much more without giving it away, but basically these 2 timelines are intertwined.
Right.
And you're starting to see, and I thought this isn't just some cheap ass story in an attempt to get humor. There's actually a proper good deep story going on with levels to which these guys are intertwined.
Okay.
And so basically she's got a mentor. This barbarian girl's got a mentor who's a monkey called Sniffer, who's obviously from the 70s.
Right.
Yeah. But he's stuck there. But that's it. But anyway, at the end, there's this one line, which if this line doesn't get you in, then I don't know what is. Basically, they're talking to Madam Ape going, what are we going to do? And she goes, because the ape time travel action crew is not what it was.
You know, you just think as a writer, you just sit there, you just think, you know what, I'm sorry about death, man.
Oh, man.
Wow, I'm all over that. What's it called again?
Bronze Age Boogie.
So is it an ongoing or is it?
It is. It's ongoing. But it's like, you know, the next issue.
Yeah.
The blurb for the next issue is next cross-time invasion. Little girl lost. The silky smooth hands of Jackson Lee, master of martial arts, and the coming of Linda Dark. Tell me you're not in, man.
I'm all over that, man. No, clear my schedule, man, because I'm all over that. You know?
For real.
Proper. That's proper.
Oh.
You know what? We have to come off comics because I had some other comics, but I can't. In good conscience, I can't follow that with another comic.
Bronze Age Boogie, man. Bronze Age Boogie.
You know what? I'm gonna pick it up, and next time we record, I'll feedback. Because wow, that's Jimmy.
If you got a copy of the Nicodemus one, send that to me, and I'll send you this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, do a swap.
Yeah. Wow, man. That's yeah. So, because I really, let me see now. Where am I? Looking at my inbox, see what else I've missed. Oh man, it's so
I saw Shazam.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, go on then. And then if we don't, we have to talk Kingdom. That's all. Well.
Yeah.
Badlands.
Sorry, no, I haven't. Have you?
Okay. It? Yeah, I'm up to date, man. because they released another. They released, I think, 3 or 4 episodes. I think there's another 4 to come.
I thought while I was here, I was going to catch up on a whole heap of things, but that ain't happened. Although I did introduce, because my housemates, they're like 23, 24.
Okay.
To like Jamal and Comfort, so it's the Black House.
Right.
And last night I introduced him to I'm Gonna Get You Sucker.
How'd that go, Dad?
Brilliantly. We're planning on doing Black Dynamite at some point.
Have they not seen Black Dynamite?
No. Listen. So we went to the cinema last night to see Us.
Oh,
the
yeah.
night before. And there was a trailer for a movie from the makers of Fast and the Furious, with The Rock in it and Jason Statham hunting down the villain Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Do you know what he's called in it?
I can't remember.
Codename Brixton.
Is it?
We literally burst out and were laughing, and no one else in the cinema was laughing because obviously they didn't get it. It's like the white people. Codename Brixton.
Oh, that's quality.
Anyway,
go.
We went to see Shazam.
Yeah.
And I just got to say, it was exactly what I needed. And by that, I mean, it wasn't great. Yeah, like all these movies, it's got its dark moments and some tough things happening, but it was just so uplifting and fun. And actually, there was someone who was loving being a superhero, even if it got hard and got a bit twisted. But it was just, and there was no grimness, and there was kids in it, so it was all right. And it was just great. I'm not even going into detail too much. I'm just saying I came out just feeling quite uplifted.
Yeah.
Which is not something you get from superhero movies these days.
No.
And my only weak point is Zachary Levi as the adult Shazam. So the guy who played Billy Batson, who's the kid who turns into Shazam, he was brilliant. And like the kid actors were great. And Zachary Levi as Shazam himself wasn't bad at all. No, he was good, to be honest. But I felt like he didn't spend enough time with the kid that he was playing.
Right.
So he just felt... So you had this kid who was trying his best as an orphan to make his way through the day kind of thing. And then he turned into Zachary Levi and just become really kid-like.
Right, okay.
Kind of like a little more kid-like than that actual kid was.
Right, yeah. That's the sense I got from the trailer, to be fair.
Yeah. That, to me, that was the only weak link in the movie. The rest of it was just enjoyable fun, and the kids playing his like foster brothers and sisters were fantastic. There's this little girl called Darla, she won my heart.
Right.
I don't even. It's not even worth saying too much about it. I just thoroughly, and I was watching it going, wonder if I could take my daughter to see this because she's 7.
Yeah.
And then there's one bit, and I was like, actually, some of these monsters are a little bit scary. Actually, I think she can handle it, but there's some monsters in there who they're not averse to eating people quite noisily.
Okay. Well, that leads us neatly onto. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say this really quickly, and then we're going to get onto Kingdom, and then we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
But I've got to say this off the back of Shazam, when you were saying like it's been a long time since you just watched a superhero thing that just made you smile and whatever. So I watched something recently that has been out for a little while, and there'd been so much hype around it that it kind of put me off it, because it was just the hype was ridiculous for this film. And I watched this film, and at one point in this film, I have to say that I was like in tears, like proper
tears of laughter or tears of grief.
Tears of joy. It weren't grief, it weren't laughter, it was tears of joy, because the sheer audacity of what they were doing, as someone who's creative and he's a writer who, you know what I mean?
What are you talking about? Right? I can't take it.
For me, so I'm going to just go into the Spiderverse.
Oh, mate.
So I finally saw this, as I said, a couple of weeks ago. And
do you know what's great about this film? It's one of the few films you can go into and go, it's a little bit hyped up, and it doesn't get in the way. The hype does not get in the way.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Because it's that good.
It doesn't. It for me, it just... You know, and obviously people take away from what they want, and maybe some people didn't enjoy it. That's cool. You know what I mean? For me, it was flawless. I genuinely, I'm sitting there trying to think about it. Something that didn't work for me. Nope.
Right.
It just wasn't.
Yeah.
And all I will say is, because I won't spoil it, for me, the bit that tears came, if I said, "What's up, danger?" If people have seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? That sequence, I was, yeah. Just that sheer joy of.
It's literally in my top 5 superhero movies.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Alongside all those live action movies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, it's that thing sometimes where people feel like you can't hit those same notes in animation, that something's got to be live action, you know what I mean? But that just reinforces to me, and I've always felt that, because as much as I like the Justice League movie, but it didn't touch the Justice League cartoon.
No, it didn't.
You know, and for me, Into the Spiderverse, just best Spider-Man film for me.
Absolutely, no competition, man. No competition.
It dove, man.
Yeah, and I liked Homecoming.
Yeah, I liked it.
Or whatever it's called.
Whatever it is, Homecoming, isn't it? Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah.
What's the new one called?
Homecoming.
No, the one that's coming out.
Oh, I don't know. Far From Home or something. I don't know.
Whatever. Okay.
Spider European Vacation.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he's a good Spider-Man, you know, and he nailed it. But there was just something about this film that just hit it.
I hear you.
Hit it, you know. Every person on that team was bringing their A game. You just got that sense that there was a passion behind this, which was more than, I don't know, getting good reviews, making money. It was just I don't know.
Yeah.
Film was amazing. It was amazing.
Couldn't agree more.
So lastly, you put me onto this a little while ago. I was away on holiday or whatever and had some time or whatever. So I thought, let me check out this Kingdom, which is what you've been talking about. I'll let you take the lead and explain to people what Kingdom is.
So Kingdom is a Korean movie, and if you first TV show, sorry. Yeah. And if you start watching it, it's six episodes. And if you start watching it, you could be forgiven for thinking it's like it's a medieval Korean show about sort of politics in that time.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, you start to realize, oh, this is actually a zombie series. And it's really nice that it's not a zombie series. It's a show about people and circumstances that happens to happen at a time when there's a zombie infestation that takes place. And therefore, it can't be post-apocalyptic thing. It's something they've got to deal with. It's something people got to deal with. But what's nice about it is the art department must have worked overtime, because the costumes are great, the sets are great, the amount of people in it, the extras in it, there's nothing in it. The acting is great. The action sequences are great. And they don't go all full on martial arts. Do you know what I mean? It's not that, because they don't fall into that cliche.
Because they ain't got time once.
They ain't got time. It's just normal fight. You're fighting to survive.
Apart from which, I'll come back to him. But if I had to compare it, for me, it's kind of like the water margin. If you don't know what the water margin is, go Google it. If you know what the water margin is, respect. Right? So the water margin was an old school martial arts show. Well, it wasn't. It was like
it wasn't even a martial arts show.
It was like it was a I think it was based on Chinese legends, wasn't it, or something? And it was just. I don't think I ever got to the end of it. It was so long. Used to get shown on BBC Two or whatever on Fridays, and it kind of reminded me of that, because you had that kind of political intrigue going on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was this larger mythical thing that was going on. So it kind of reminded me in some ways of Game of Thrones, because with Game of Thrones, there's a lot of political stuff going on, but you got these White Walkers, which are effectively zombies, kicking off. And everyone's so busy doing their own little political shenanigans that they're not realizing that like hell's coming through them.
There's a bigger thing. Do you know what? Yeah. That's it. It is. You hit it.
It's the same lick they're coming with. But let me tell you, right? It's 6 episodes, so it's doable. Right?
Yeah.
Second, what they managed to pack a lot into those 6 episodes in terms of story content.
A lot of character work as well.
Yeah, and I've got to say, right, when it kicks off, I know now.
It don't mess about.
I know when the apocalypse comes, right? There's one dude in that show I want beside me. There's one guy in that show, right? Literally, when you look up Survivor in the dictionary, you'll see that guy loading up a musket.
Picture.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's like he's the one person who knows how to run like the devil's after him.
Yeah. That boy could chip, man.
He could chip. He's not messing about. And what I love is like sometimes he just runs into the danger.
Yeah.
But you know it's not going to be long before he's running out of the danger. He does his business, and then he's running out. He's getting away. And there were actual moments I doubted he was going to make it.
Yeah. Because also what I like about it, I'm not going to talk specific scenes. The thing with the fights in this is because it's zombie 101, right? If you get bitten, you're done.
Yeah.
Right. We all know that. But in this show, because for the most part, they're either using swords, hatchets, whatever they can get their hands on, or in terms of firearms, muskets, which, let's be honest, you one shot.
And then you got to go to your backup weapon.
Or you got to reload, and there's only one guy in that show that can handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when they get into fights, it is literally every one of them is so close to getting bitten. Do you know what I mean? There's no let up on them. It's not none of the zombies.
It is on the edge.
It's on the edge. Every fight is on the edge. Every fight, you're like, I don't know who's coming out of this. You know, there is no kind of one guy you think, yeah, he's always going to make it out. No zombie even gets near him. I can't overemphasize this. People are fighting for their lives in this show.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got the whole political intrigue on that as well.
There's some deep and dark political stuff going on, like what they were doing with the mothers.
Oh, yeah. Say no more.
Yeah.
But also as well, the realistic way in which the plague, virus, whatever you call it, is spread.
Yeah.
It's quite realistic, and in some cases quite horrible.
But it's like, I was gonna say, oh man, stuff. And they've got a little twist on the usual zombie stuff, which I can't really say much without giving it away. But did I tell you that one of the art team died on the show?
Yes.
From overwork.
Boy, if
that don't tell you something about the show, I don't know what does it.
Yeah. So that's Kingdom. It's on Netflix. It's 6 episodes. If you like zombie stuff, it's. Do you know what? Just check it out. Check it out.
Do yourself a favor.
Yeah. Watch the first episode because it's a cracker. Also, I don't know how you watched it. I watched it subtitled.
I watched it subtitled. When I watch foreign stuff now, I'm just like, you know what? I need to let's let it be subtitled. Let's hear the original things, because sometimes you look at people, you hear the voices, and it just doesn't fit. It doesn't work.
You lose. Certainly in this show as well, because I started to and then I turned it off. And you lose the emotion of the characters from the dialogue. I think so, anyway. So that's Kingdom, man. Quality show.
Yeah. That's it for today. So you know the drill. You can find us at geeksyndicate.co.uk. You can send us an email at thegeeks@geeksyndicate.co.uk. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. We're all over the place. So
shop, man.
Yeah, so do that. Also on YouTube. So come find us. Come say hello. Come tell us what you think of what we've said. If we've put you onto anything that you want to share, if there's anything you think we'd like, let us know. But until then, until next time, Geek Syndicate, we out.
Yeah.